How is the Lowrider ST on the highway? Let's talk about it. What's going on, YouTube? FX Sales Brooklyn is back in the building. Just me and my new Lowrider ST. Little sound test for you. Somebody is ready for the highway. And yeah, let's hop on the highway. And what better highway than do it on than Old 17, one of my favorite highways out in New York. Well, actually, I shouldn't call this Old 17. It's actually technically New 17. But yeah, let's do a little highway action. Actually, I'm gonna start slow so we can get a little see what we get, see how this thing could pick up. Bring it down to third. And we are at speed. So just like that, literally maybe that was under 2 seconds, and we are currently at highway speed. That's all it took. So yeah, how is this bike on the highway? Well, I'll tell you what, right now, I've said this before in the previous video when I, did my first ride on the Lowrider ST back in the summer. And the way that the fairing is set up, stock, the wind is perfect, dude. It's literally perfect. There's zero helmet buffeting. It's hitting me in the right place where I feel like I'm getting just enough wind, but I'm also just completely gliding down the highway with like zero wind resistance. So on a hot day, I remember I was happy with how much wind I was getting, but I was also happy with the amount of wind deflection in terms of putting in like a 500 plus mile day seemed like something that would definitely be doable. I don't think it should be a surprise to anyone that this thing is absolutely cutting through the highway like a hot knife through butter. This thing absolutely will eat highway miles just for the wind deflection. Now, I will say that some of my friends who are a little bit taller than me, which is not that hard to do, I'm 5'7", right? So I'm slightly above the median height for Americans, have said that they really don't actually like this bike just because they feel like they did not get a lot of wind deflection. But for me personally, standing at 5'7", it's actually the perfect amount of wind deflection. It might even be better than my retro FXRT fairing on my Dyna. And that combined with just how light the fairing is, this thing is a straight highway ripper, man. And of course, you got the power of a 117 behind you, so moving on this bike is not going to be an issue. So yeah, how I feel on the highway right now, I feel like I might as well be that meme of Kermit the Frog drinking tea, because that's how relaxed I feel. As for the riding position, in terms of how I sit on this bike, well, I said this in my previous video, but the first thing I would probably do on this bike is put a Saddleman step up on it, which is what I'm currently running. So you're gonna want a Saddleman step up, right? That really, for me, it feels like it pushes me forward just a tiny bit. And then besides that, I also just like sitting upright, I actually like the fact that this bike has quote-unquote mid-controls. I don't know if I'd call it mid-controls stock, because to me, like, what mid-controls is what is on my FXR or what is on my Dyna Superglide, right? For my Dyna Lowrider S, as well as this bike right here, to me, these are more kind of like forward mids, right? Where they're pushed a little bit forward than what true mid-controls actually are. But again, with the fact that I feel like the Saddleman seat pushes you a little bit forward, that actually makes it feel more like mid-controls on my FXR or my Dyna. And that's my bread and butter. That's like what I'm most comfortable with. I love mid-controls. That's my favorite seating, that's my favorite riding position. And this bike definitely has that. So, the combination of a really big motor stock, a really great riding position, and probably the best wind deflection you're gonna get out of any stock or even aftermarket Harley Davidson right now, the combination of those things makes this bike probably your best weapon for highway riding, you know? And that's what this bike is built for. You know, we're talking sport touring, we're talking a light frame, a big motor, you able to do the bike trips, but then you also able to ride fast and ride aggressive when you want to. And this bike definitely achieves that. So yeah, how does it do on the highway? It does amazing on the highway. If you are someone who plans to be ripping tons of highway miles and you're in the market for a bike, then this is hands down probably your best option right now. And the excellent move by Harley Davidson was the fact that they came up with this bike, because now you don't have to do what I did on my Dyna and throw down a whole bunch of money on an aftermarket RT fairing, but you could buy it completely new. And look, man, at the end of the day, they're gonna design this stuff the best at the factory, you know, so they know what they're doing. And I'm sitting here riding this thing telling you that that's true right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some gas right now, because I got plenty more miles to do today on my new Lowrider ST. FXLR ST in the building. And my oh my, am I having so much fun on this bike. As always, major shout out to Harley Davidson for giving me this bike. I'm having a blast. Stay tuned. I have so many more things to tell you about this bike within the next month, so stay tuned. We got a lot more content coming your way. Stay safe, stay low, practice positive mental attitude, and on that, FX Brooklyn is out.